Flosstube, welcome back. You found Lila the Stitches. My name is Laura, and I'm so glad you're joining me today. It's been a hot minute. It's been a while, so I'm glad to be back. I figured I should make a video before it was truly the end of the month. But I've also been trying not to push beyond what I'm able to do. So, for those of you that are new, I had surgery at the start of the month, and it went well. I am recovering, but it's always a bit of a ups and downs, and it's all moving the right direction, but it's gradual, right? We have to kind of let our bodies heal at their own pace, even if our minds want to get up and get going faster than our bodies will let us. Anyways, so I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to be back. Hopefully we won't have any more extended delays in videos for the rest of the year. That would be ideal. That would be awesome. Okay. I also want to say thank you so much for those who were aware the surgery was happening, and the vague awareness of what's happening with me. I haven't been specific, and that's intentional. It's not that I'm not willing to share. It's nothing secret. But health is complicated. There are layers to it, and I just don't want to get into it right now. So, I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, yes. Thank you for those who knew what was happening and who reached out to me with emails and private messages and even comments on my other videos. Thank you so much for all the positive vibes. It was comforting. It was nice. Thank you very much. I appreciate the community that we have amongst our Stitchers. So much support and kindness and just genuine humanity. It's good. It's a good place to be. I'm glad to be here. Okay, so it is Sci-Fi July. Woot, woot, woot. And this is going to be a little bit more abbreviated than I had hoped it would be. I'd had grand plans for Sci-Fi July, and life has taken another path, so we're dumbing it down a little bit. But I'm sporting my shirt, which I still fit barely. Star Trek. Trekkies unite. And so I've been stitching as I can. Some things got a lot of attention as I was feeling better, and some things that were slotted earlier in the month got... Oh, she's very itchy. Got less stitching, but we do what we can, right? So I'm excited to show you, and they all but one project have some kind of connection to the stars, sci-fi. So let's just dive into it. My first one, and these are in no particular order. They aren't necessarily the order I stitched them in or in level of preference at all, except for I did kind of slate my very favorite one towards the end, because save the best for last, right? But other than that, they're just stacked. So the first one is Star Trek, and it's from, you can't really see, it's tiny here, Stitch by Stitch on Etsy, and it's designed to be a full coverage. On the chart, this is all stitched, all of this black or navy blue. I don't remember which color it's supposed to. I think it's a navy blue. And I just know myself well enough to know that I don't want to stitch that much. And it was kind of a roadblock for a long time in getting me to start it, because I think it's a darling design and would be fun to have, but I just didn't want to stitch all of that solid color. So when I experimented with dyeing fabrics earlier this year, I did one purple, and it didn't take very long for me to be like, oh my goodness, it looks like space, and that would be perfect for this one. So I'm not stitching any of the background. I'm just going to add in the little stars and planets that are kind of floating around this, and the words. So I got a start. This is the full outline of this, and I wanted to get this kind of swirling jet stream from the Enterprise in before I started truly filling in. That'll be a lot of stitching, but it's pretty simple. It's pretty mindless. So once I get to it, it'll go pretty quickly. So that's fun. It's a good start. I always think I'm stitching, this is an 18 count Ada that I dyed, and I always think, oh, it's so simple, it'll go so fast. But I'm not a lightning stitcher, so and that's okay. There's no rush, but I'm happy with the start. It's a solid start, and it will be easy to pick up again when I come back to it. Okay, this next one is called I Want to Believe, and I stitched this one in honor of my husband and I like to watch the X-Files, and I grew up watching the X-Files. It's based off the I Want to Believe poster. It's an old poster. And you guys, I just realized that I started this and I do not have my iPad in here. I don't even know if it's charged. So I don't have any before pictures. That's okay. We're just going to go old school here. Most. A lot of these are new starts, so they wouldn't have had before pictures anyways. And I might pause it and go get it. We'll see as I go. If there's a break, I paused to get my iPad and I'll probably talk about it. Anyways, it's based off a poster and that says I Want to Believe. And so it's super simple. I got the pattern off of Etsy, a shop called Randomly Generated. And all I have left is fill in. So I've done all the hard parts, all the counting parts. So I just have this kind of medium green to fill in here and then the dark green. But I ran out of the dark green. This was a month of running out of colors. Anyways, X-Files. I grew up, my mom loved the X-Files, when it was current. And she would watch it every week. And of course it was too scary for an elementary school kid with an active imagination. So I would go to bed before it would air. Back in the days when TV came on at specific times, and if you missed it, you missed it. And so we would go to bed first, but I very rarely fell asleep like that, right? Like, you're laying in bed for a little bit, and it was a regular weekly thing to have us go to bed and then to hear the X-Files go on from the living room where my mom was watching it. Anyways, so X-Files are good. My husband likes it too, and so we're about halfway through a rewatch on that, which is pretty fun. And every time he hears the music, he's so cute. He's always like, oh, I remember hearing that music as a kid, and I couldn't sleep if I heard it. I'd have nightmares if I heard the music. Not that he ever watched the show, but anyways. Well, he's cute. Now he loves it. And he loves scary movies, so it's funny that a strain of music would have affected him so much. Okay, my next one is not the Magister yet, and this is by Mandarinx Design. It's also on Etsy, and I'm stitching this on, I Want to Believe is stitched on Picture This Plus Fawn 28 count. It's just a scrap left over from something I started last year. So I want to remember to let you guys know what I'm stitching on when I know. So this one I am stitching on also a Picture This Plus linen. It's a 28 count and the color is Cauldron. And this is where he sits. He has big giant eyes. When I started this I've made a lot of progress on. I only had the purple and then this little bit in. So I've added all of the green and his eyes. And it really makes it start to feel like I'm stitching something instead of just nothing. Yeah, I'm so excited to start seeing it come to life. And actually, I have been doing something different. Normally I have kind of themes assigned to my days, and I'll pick a different project for every day of the week, and that will carry through that day all month. So Tuesdays, Tiny Tuesdays, that project I pick would go all month. But this month I decided, since I had more specific projects, that's maybe not the right way to put it. Anyways, I decided to try doing consecutive days instead of weekly slots. I'm not saying this very smoothly. Anyways, so yeah, consecutive days together. And I know a lot of people stitch like that. So, but it's something new for me. And not that I haven't done it before. I mean, I've had fewer whips at times, and I focus on projects, or I get obsessed with the project, and I've definitely done consecutive day stitching before, but it's been a while. So, and I've really enjoyed it, actually. There's a lot of satisfaction, especially on some projects more than others, that, you really see, like on this one, it really came to life in a few days of stitching. And this one might have gotten 4 days because I've been enthusiastic about it in seeing that growth. So it's something I'm thinking I might continue through August. And we'll just see. We'll see how it goes. I was talking to my friend last month when she came over to stitch, and it's so funny because I was like, oh yeah, I think I'm going to try stitching 3 days in a week. Or maybe it was after I'd already tried it. Anyways, doesn't matter. And she's like, oh yeah, I saw that in your last video that you mentioned you were going to do that. And it was so funny because it's not my idea. It was totally an Inception kind of idea. And she has been doing a pattern similar to that for this year, and it's worked really well for her, and we have talked about it. And so this is not an original idea by any means. I'm just stealing everybody's ideas. So my next one is also a stitch by stitch off of Etsy pattern. Let's cuddle and watch Star Trek. And again, this is, I'll just show you the corner here, full coverage. I'm not releasing any secrets by showing that corner. It is all red. And I just, as much as I think this is cute, I was really procrastinating giving it a start because I didn't want to stitch all that red for years. Especially at the rate I finish projects. So one of you lovely viewers had said, well, just get a red fabric and stitch the words. So I did. And it was a great idea. And this shows you how weird I stitch. So I started in the middle and I kind of came up, and then I went over, and then I went up, and then I went up. I'm stitching, this is a 28 count, picture this plus, Phoenix. And there is kind of a goober there in the linen, just one of those thicker slubs. But you know what? Nothing's perfect. It's great. And it's showing a little pinker in the camera than it is in real life. It's a bit deeper than that. But either way, it's going to be awesome, and I'm really excited to... This one's kind of, how do I say it? You move through it pretty quickly. So this was my 2 or 3 days. I don't remember how much I actually did on it because I've been flexible with the time, and but 2 or 3 days of stitching. And so, I mean, it's a lot of stitches, right? It's good. It's a good start, solid start. But I'm not a fast stitcher, so it also feels like 3 days. I should have like had the whole first half done, which is probably just completely, unrealistic, and that's okay. It's, again, a solid start. Heart, la TD, all right. Eventually, it will talk about Star Trek. Okay. This one, let me see if I can find my cover picture. Yes. Is The Captains by the Happy Sloth. And this is available on Etsy. It should still be available. It's been a couple years since I purchased the pattern, but I'll try to link them below. I don't know, honestly. The funny thing about recovering, not to bring up surgery all the time, but that's my world right now. So the funny thing about recovering is I'm feeling more able to do things as the days go on and the weeks pass, and that's great. But I definitely reached this point where it's like, wall, done. So it may take, maybe I film today and I edit tomorrow, or maybe I film and I just upload it and I don't do a lot of editing. I never really edit my videos other than unless there's a problem, which life happens. But I do I've tried in recent videos to really try to get the information down below. So if there are hyperlinks to stitch-alongs or other Flosstubers I talk about, or patterns, especially Etsy patterns, which are PDFs for the most part in my purchases, I try to link those things so you guys have easier access to them if you are so inclined. We like to enable creative purchasing here. Anyways, so we'll see how this goes. But anyways, progress on the Captains. Let's move on. I'm just chattering here. It looks kind of funny. All right. So I had a good chunk of this done. I think I added one little, part here. I filled in the yellow, and then I was able to move on from Captain Kirk to Captain Picard. And I'm stitching this 2/2. It's just a white even weave, and it's showing, you can kind of see it looks better in person, but you can kind of see on the camera that there is a little bit of show through on it. So I wish I'd stitched it 3/2, just to make it super filled in. And this is just DMC on a white even weave. It will get a bath when I'm done, and hopefully those stitches will fluff up and it will fill in some of that. But even if it doesn't, it's going to be fun. It was exciting to move on to new colors. Again, I've got it to the point where it's just fill-in stitches, and so that makes it's kind of nice when it gets to fill-in point, because it makes it kind of this mindless, if I'm not in the mood or I don't have the mental space to really think about what I'm doing in detail, like counting or confetti stitching or anything like that. It's nice to have some simpler things to fall back on, and I can still get my stitching, and keeping my hands busy really helps me with my anxiety, and so I do it a lot. But yeah, like I said, I'm not always wanting to dive deep into something that takes a lot of brain power, so it's nice to have some things that I can fall back on for those days. Okay. This one is called Starry Night, and I had a question about it. I posted it on, I think it was on Instagram last week, and we were struggling to find it. The shop, it appears, has been shut down. I don't know why, you know, they're small shops, so it's hard to say. But I was not able to find this anywhere. If anybody has found it, let me know, and I'll pass along that information so that everybody can have it. But there are other designs similar to this that have the same kind of like vibe to it in other shops, but I couldn't find this specific one from the Stitching Land. Anyways, that being said, it is Starry Night. It was already started this month, but barely, and I made really, I've got to get it going the right way, this way. I made really good progress on it. This is what I stitched with when I was starting to feel better and I was binge watching Stranger Things. And so here I am. I had just a little bit of this green and a little bit of the blue. So I did all of that. And I was just really enjoying it. It was super fun. This is going to be filled in pretty much all in black, I think, through there. But I've got the beginning of these mountain ranges, and yeah, I'm really satisfied with how it's coming together. It's really fun to watch this one grow, and the colors are fun to stitch with. It's the right balance between being simple, so you're not like, it's not overly complicated, but it's also still really interesting to stitch it. It's stimulating. Does that make any sense? I don't know what the fabric is. This was one that I had originally, it feels like a Picture This Plus, honestly. I would guess that that's who dyed it. And as with all of these kind of softer sagey greens, it's reading lighter, grayer on the camera than it is in person. But yeah, it has no information. You can kind of see, if you look, where is it? Oh, I've started to stitch over it, but kind of you can see some of the fibers are stretched out here. That's because I had started something else on this, something that was going to run this way. And the colors, I just didn't like it. I just didn't like how it looked. So I pulled those out and just kind of tucked it back into my little fabric stash until I found the right project to go back on it. And I'd actually started this one once upon a time on a white Ada. I think it was an 18 count. And I just didn't like stitching on the fabric. So it was stiff and the holes were really tight. And anyways, so the other one hasn't been restarted, that was originally for this, and this was reslotted for my little space scene. Which is, you know, all information you didn't need, but but that's why I don't know what the fabric is. And you guys, I have been alone in my house, mostly in my bedroom up until the last like 4 days, for like 2 weeks. So it's, I feel like I'm talking to people for the first time, which is silly because I've had people reach out to me and I've texted and I've FaceTimed and talked on the phone and stuff. It's not like I've truly been alone, but still. Coming back to the real world here. Okay. This next one I am so excited for, and I wish I had my before picture to show you, but I guess I'm not going to get up and get my iPad because my body's already screaming. So we're just going to keep moving. Mirabilia's Stargazer. I've been working on her just over a year with any kind of regularity. I think I started her in 2019 officially. I don't know if I have my little card in here. Yeah, anyways, I think I started her in 2019, but it was really just like a start, and then I kind of tucked her away. And but in the last year I've pulled her out, you know, every few months for a chunk of time and made a lot of progress on her. And she's almost ready for beads. She's so close. I ran out of a color, or I would have, and it really fills in a lot of the gaps here. One stop to the shop and I'll be ready to to get all of her stitching completed. She's so close. Oh, and I love her. She's on Mystery Linen. If you've watched my other videos, you know I bought her fabric and pattern over a decade ago in a small shop far, far away. And I have no fabric information. It's just a basic, I don't know, Zweigart or basic solid linen, and it's just this beautiful warm golden tan, and I love how she's stitching out on it. Yeah, anyways, so we're super close. I'm gonna have to pick up some beads for her. She's so pretty. I'm so excited. Okay, and last but not least is my stitch along for the Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery. It's a mystery stitch along, so I don't know what the whole thing will look like, but I am current. I am up to date on a stitch along. Ha 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 ha. And here it is. It's so cute. It's being stitched on, I think it's 16 count. Yeah, 16 count Aida by Picture This Plus. And the color is Valor. I love the modeling, and it's a bit, again, it's one of those ones that goes pretty gray in the camera, but, and it does have definitely a gray undertone. It's gray, but it has kind of a greeny feel to it too. Anyways, words. But I love it. I made changes. So first of all, my unicorn is still floating. That's all I need to do is go in and extend the legs by one stitch. I decided she's not gonna fly. She's gonna touch the ground. But I had messed up. My pole is actually the correct size. I can't tell you how many times I counted to double check and see where my problem was. The pole is the right length, but I have placed the banners in the wrong, it's one stitch too high. So that's why my unicorn is floating, and I've had to make my wizard taller, and yeah, I've had to tweak to make it work, but I wanted the flags to stay where they're supposed to stay so that adjustments are minimal, and the bridge is where it's supposed to stay. So, you know, adjustments have been made. It's all good, whatever. But I did, so I used a gold metallic DMC on the unicorn horn and the wizard, both in his robes and his wand, and then I altered his skin tone because they did this great thing in their chart. They gave you a whole page of flesh tones to customize, which is just awesome. Like, I'm keeping this piece of paper forever. And so I decided when I saw that I was going to make each one of my little people, however many people there winds up being, a different color. So he's a little darker, and I substituted the color of his robes, which was supposed to be a DMC very similar to, I don't know, his armpit there. Kind of a violet, red, purple. But I had this Tom and Lily Creations Serene, which has this amazing, oh here, let me get a white background here. This amazing color variation. And I pretty much instantly thought, like, I was like, okay, I'm already shifting his skin. It would be really cool to make him a magical wizard. I wonder if I have anything. And it took me like 3 seconds to find this and be like, oh, yes. It was perfect because the purple is very similar to the original called for, and then it was just adding a little bit of magic. And I held it up with the other flosses to make sure it wasn't going to be too bright with everything else, and it's going to be great. It's going to be so fun. Anyway, I'm so tickled with how he turned out. My little magical wizard who's 1 stitch row taller. Oh, anyways, pretty fun. I'm very excited. This one, I think the next section drops for it at the end of this week. which is perfect. It gives me like a week-ish, just over a week to, hopefully the next section will be a little bit smaller. This bridge, woof, that was a lot of work. It's like 4 different colors of gray and tons of back stitching, and I can't tell you how many times I counted this gap because I didn't want it to be flagged 2.0. And anyways, that it was stitch heavy for, and I mean they give you a month, so there's plenty of time to do it, but you know, I got other projects too, so I'm both proud of myself that I got it done and also hoping that this month's part will be a little bit less intensive, so that I can whip it out and then be able to move into August with the projects I'm thinking about for that. So yeah, we kind of flew through that. That's my stitching. That's what I've worked on. I have a tiny little bit of haul. It's just, I mean, I haven't been out, so it's just what, hi baby girl, what has come in the mail. The first one is my Bestitch Me monthly fat quarter. And it's this gorgeous sherbety, I have no idea what I'm going to stitch on this. This is like the brightest fabric I've ever owned. It's called Summer Sunrise. It's a Lugana. I get the Luganas. But it's gorgeous. I absolutely adore it. And when the right project comes up, I know my brain will go right to it. It's so fun to get these in the mail and then just slowly start building my stash. I'm really enjoying that. Oh, okay. And then these are Fabrics by Stephanie. It was my first time ordering from her. I ordered it back in May, and she's got about a 12-week or so turnaround on dyed to order fabric. But I had seen last video in my haul, I showed you guys this, and I had seen This is Blossom by Mirabilia Nora Corbett, and I had seen it on Facebook. Somebody was stitching it in my Mirabilia group that I'm in, and I had watched the pattern for a while since it had come out and always liked it, but then I just hadn't pulled the trigger because, you know, I've got Mirabilias, I've got kits that I haven't even started, and I've got plenty that I have started and not finished, and so it was just kind of one of those background ones. But when I saw this and I saw the fabric choice, I was instantly like, okay, gotta go check out that website. She had listed everything she had done it on. So she was stitching on 14 count Busy Izzy, which is this, and it's gorgeous, and it's showing up again lighter in the camera than it is in person. It's a bit intense in person, and I think her dye, it could be the lighting of the photograph she took, but it looked like hers was lighter. And when I would say the website picture was very accurate to what I actually got, which is reassuring. You know, not all pictures are reliable that way. This is so cool. It is really, really neat. But when I saw the picture on the website, I was a little concerned that it would be too dark. And so I was like, okay, I'll order a second one since I'm doing an order. And that way I just have a backup in case it's a little too intense for me when it gets here. And I'm glad I did that because this is the other one I got. Oh my gosh, it's washing out so much. See if we can get some white around it so you can actually see the color. This is called Bliss. Yes. Again, a 14 count Ada. And it is so pretty. It is just the softest lavender with these, you know, little portions of like, almost like she used a little bit of blue. It's not going to show up. The camera's not going to do it justice. It is so lovely. And it's so gentle, and I'm so glad I got it because that's what I'm going to use. This doesn't require any specialty threads. It's all DMC, and there is a selection of beads, but it'll be 10,000 years before I'm ready to get to the beads anyways. So, you know, I pretty much have I haven't pulled the I haven't pulled the floss yet for it, but I'm pretty much ready to go if and when I want to. And frankly, I'm tempted. I'm tempted to start it. It's so pretty. So what will I do with this other gorgeous but very different fabric? I am contemplating putting the baker's wife, which is also a Mirabilia, onto this. And so I think what I'll do is next time I go out to Threadneedle Street, I will I'll see if she has that, and I'll kind of do a little floss toss on it and see if it will work. That will be fun. So that was an exciting package to get in the mail because it's been very anticipated. The last thing I got was actually something that I can kind of share with everybody. I got an email that from, you know, I'm not sure which person it was, one of the owners of this shop, online shop, and it's called Stitching Lane, and I hadn't heard of it, but I haven't heard of a lot of things. So she reached out, they reached out to me, and they're like, hey, we'd love to send you some Stitchy goodness, and you can kind of choose to do what you want, keep it or give it away on your thing, but we're trying to get the word out there that we're here, and, you know, basically, oh my gosh, I'm shedding like it's going out of style. Anyways, so I hadn't heard of them, so I clicked on the link to their website and kind of checked it out first. And it's a beautiful website. It's well set up. It was easy to navigate, and they had everything from quilting goods, cottons, kits, patterns, to lots and lots of cross stitch stuff. Honestly, the cross stitch stuff is what caught my attention first. Lots of patterns, and they carry, I don't remember, it's been a couple of weeks now, 3 weeks or so since I looked at their site, but it was they had over-dyed flosses and needle minders, and, you know, it's just a real fun shop to kind of browse for a minute. So after I'd done that, I said, yeah, sure, send me a package. I'd love to share with my viewers. And so they did, and I'll only show part of what they sent because we're going to save the other part for August when we celebrate my Flosstubeversary. Can you believe we are coming up in just a few weeks on 1 year of me doing Flosstube videos, and it's like mind-blowing. Anyway, so I'm going to save all of those. We've got some giveaway items. That'll be so much fun for that celebration. But the two things out of the package that I decided to keep that were Flosstube themed, I guess you will, was this really awesome Star Wars needle minder. I love it. And the magnet is super strong, so it's not going anywhere. It's going to be great. And here, it's just such pretty packaging. They've really thought it out. They've Stitching Lane, so their shop name, thank you. It's got their information there. If you order $50 or more, which, you know, is always easy to do at a cross-stitch shop, they give you free shipping. And then the other one I chose to keep for myself, because I'm greedy, is Holiday Quaker. I have now 3 Quakers from Lila's studio. I'm starting the summer Quaker with Samantha, the Hugo Stitcher, next month. In just like a week and a half, I have been so tempted to just like jump into it because I'm ready. But I'm being good. I'm waiting until August 1st. And then I also have the Halloween Quaker, which everybody under the sun is doing. And I'm going to join in October probably. Anyways, so I thought this was really cute, and it'll be fun to stitch and fun to add to my collection. So thank you, Stitching Lane, for your generosity. I'll enjoy these, and I hope everybody will enjoy the things that I pass on to you guys next month. In the meantime, they have offered a discount code I feel so scattered. I'm not used to doing this. This is the first shop that's ever been like, here, do this. You're a Flosstuber. Anyways, if you use the code Laura, so my name, Laura, you'll get 15% off your purchase. And so that with the free shipping, it's a pretty darn good deal. It's pretty awesome. And that's good through the end of the year. So all of 2023. So we'll go over that again next month on the anniversary video. But just tuck that down there so it doesn't get lost. But anyways, but it's active now. So you can use it anytime. That's stitchinglane.com. Yeah. Oh, I'm such an advertiser. Okay. Let's do my plans really quick. So I'm kind of I've so enjoyed doing Sci-Fi July, but I'm kind of done. I might pull out Mandalorian again. If I get to the shop and get that missing DMC, I might pull out Stargazer again, but I'm kind of like in this in-between place. My last week of the month is going to be Christmas in July, and so I pulled out 2 projects since I'm doing consecutive day stitching. I'll give this 3-ish days. This is The Gift of Peace by Lavender and Lace. Oh, I'm showing Lila a chart. That's where I got last year. I started him last December, and he is just the most handsome Santa Claus in the land, and I'm really excited. For one, I'd forgotten how far I got on him. Look at all that white stitching I did. But I'm really excited to pull him out again. It'll be really fun to see him grow, see what I can get done in 3 days. And then little zipper. Uh-oh, it got stuck. Okay, sorry. Then the other one I pulled out to get a few days into is Barbara Anna's Santa's Trips, which again, I pulled out last December. I'm a seasonal stitcher. And I think I had this square done. So I did like all of this last season. Yeah, we'll see what I can get done in a few days. It'll be really fun. This border, it gets me every time. It is so scrumptious. It is just so good. Love it. Love that one. Love this piece. Stitching it with the called for DMCs. And I'll go into more of the details on both of them when I show them next time. So I know I'll be stitching those the last week of July, so that's next week. And then Castle Homecoming, once that drops, I will scramble my buns to get that current. And then in August, we'll dive into my monthly theme for August is ocean. So I've got some really fun projects planned for that. That is all I have to show you for cross stitch. I do have a happy stack of books that I want to show. I've got them clumped into 3 sections. Books classic sci-fis I've really enjoyed, sci-fi that was just fun to read, and sci-fi I adore. I guess 4 sections, and then I have 2 books that are on my to be read that I haven't read yet. So I thought I would just run through those really quick as part of Sci-Fi July. It turns out I love sci-fi, but I don't read as much as I thought I did. I actually watch a lot of sci-fi. So, Aliens. I consider Stranger Things kind of sci-fi. I mean, there's a lot. There's a lot of sci-fi out there. And it's interesting, as I've thought about it, it's like, what is sci-fi? What do I quantify as sci-fi? And it's science fiction. Anything sciencey, I guess. It's been an interesting thing. Like, do I count this as sci-fi or not? So I stuck super traditional. We're talking like adventures in space sci-fi for my books. So I'll just go through them really quick. I'm not gonna like dive deep because I'm getting sore and I'm ready to be done. But classic Dune. You just can't go wrong with Dune. It is so good. And I grew up watching the original movie, and it always ooked me out in some ways, but I loved it. I would watch it, but the new one I really enjoy the new one. We can't beat the book. You can never beat the book. It's just like Jurassic Park, which is apparently categorized as fiction, but I always thought as science fiction because, I mean, they're using science to bring back dinosaurs. So, like, sci-fi, right? I don't know. Apparently it's just fiction. So, anyways, the book is so, so good. And you've got to read The Lost World, too, if you read that one, because they really... They like picked and pulled the parts of the story that they wanted for their cinematic story, and mushed them together into a Frankenstein. And they're so good. I love the movies. In fact, I did a marathon of all 6 Jurassic Park / Jurassic World movies, and of course you have to separate the Jurassic World from the Jurassic Park. They're just totally different, but I enjoy them all. Anyways, I knew I would do this. That's why I'm trying to go fast, because I'll just like follow my brain and keep talking. You can't talk sci-fi without talking Star Trek, the OG Star Trek. Look at Kirk there, he's so handsome. Planet of the Apes, classic. Okay, and of course, this is just like the tip of the iceberg. There is so much out there. But I don't know about you, but sometimes I think, oh, I'd love to read a sci-fi or any genre, mystery or romance or whatever. And there is so much out there, so much content out there that it can be a little overwhelming to be like, okay, but what's good? What's well written? What's poorly written? What's a adventure? What's blah, 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 blah. Like, it can be just hard to find something. And so I thought, okay, if you're interested in sci-fi, these are things that, I don't know, I can just say that I've enjoyed. I guess that's all I can say. Acorna, Anne McCaffrey and Margaret Ball, The Unicorn Girl. This does not look like sci-fi, doesn't. But it is. It takes place completely out in space. And it is, I read this, I think I was 12 when I read this, and I loved it. I mean, I love unicorns, and she's a girl that has a unicorn horn, a tiny horn, if you trust cover art, but she does. And it's been probably 20 years since I read this, but I remember loving it, and I loved it enough that I gifted it to my niece when she was around the age I read it the first time, and she affirmed that she enjoyed it as well, which was a relief. It's actually part of a trilogy. I only had the first one, but it's so good. She's basically trying to find her past, herself, and her people, and it's out in space, and so there's adventures, and it's very sci-fi. It's definitely very sci-fi. Very good. I enjoy it. Anne McCaffrey it's kind of the bridge between her two different genres. She has a whole sci-fi section of her writing and then a whole fantasy, dragons and adventure. Dragons of Pern. Read them if you like dragons and fantasy and stuff. So good. Dragon Riders of Pern, excuse me. Anyways, this was kind of a fusion between her sci-fi and a little bit of fantasy, and it's good. Anyways. If you've got young teenagers who like unicorns and sci-fi, it's the perfect blend. Okay, 3 sci-fi books that were just fun to read. All Systems Red, Martha Wells. This is the Murderbot series. It's kind of like AI. He's a robot in space that is basically given one purpose, but he gains sentience. So did I say that right? Anyways, it's good. And it's murder mysteries, and there's like this grand space conspiracy. It's not long. All of them are super short. I mean, less than 200 pages. So really quick read, but they're enjoyable, and it was a different idea. I don't know. I always enjoy that. So it's fun. Red shirts, which which if you know Star Trek, you can probably already guess where this is going. It is not to be taken seriously. It's an adventure. It's fun. And if you're a Trekkie, it will give you all the giggles because they make so many fandom references. It's like, it's dripping in fandom. Leviathan Wakes, I read a couple of years ago. The Expanse is now a Amazon Prime TV show, and it was just getting started. I was not even aware that they were friends when I started reading it. It is an easy space saga adventure. It's easy to read and follow. There's nothing complicated about it, but it's a good ride, right? It's fun. And the show is, I would recommend reading the book before watching at least the first book before starting the show, just because they're really good about using the story, but again, they've kind of rearranged some things to fit their path through the story. So, really well done. But like I said, I would read, if you haven't already watched it, I would read the book first, at least the first one. It's like a 9-book series. It's a hefty one. But easy to read. And I have heard that if you prefer audiobooks, that the audiobook is well done as well. Okay, my favorite sci-fi series of all time. The Annihilation series by Jeff Vandermeer. This is one of those ones I was just wandering around Powell's bookstore while we lived in Portland, looking for something, and the cover caught my attention. I mean, bright green, right, for the first one, and it's not big, so it wasn't a huge commitment, but I bought the first one and not the other two, and I finished the first one in like a day or two, and instantly went back to Powell's and got the other two because I was so completely engrossed. It was so different from any sci-fi I'd ever read, which, Space Odyssey, kind of sci-fi, Star Wars, kind of, recognizable plot, but enjoyable adventure. This is so, it made my mind blow up. It was so good. I don't even know how to begin to describe it without giving things away. I will say I watched the first 15 minutes of the movie and turned it off because it was such a betrayal of my experience in the books. It's just unique and it's beautiful and it's expansive. I don't know how to say it other than if you like sci-fi and you want something totally different that will just make you go, what? Wait, what? What? Keep giving me more. Then this is the sci-fi series for you. I have made all of my family read it because I loved it so much. And I always have a hole in my shelf when I loan it out to them. I tell them, this is one you better bring back because I know you're going to like it. And even if you don't, I still want my books back because I love it. Anyway, I really recommend those. Okay, on my to be read, The 3-Body Problem, which according to, I've heard that they're making a show or something out of this. Who cares? It looks so good. The description sounds really good. It's got winner of the Hugo Award. Anytime I see something like that, I always give it a little bit more attention because they don't usually give out awards like that for no reason. And then, To Sleep in a Sea of Stars, Christopher Paolini wrote the Aragon series, which, I really enjoyed through high school. And I've heard that he was lauded at the time for being so young and writing such a great story, right? Fantasy story. And I really love the Eric Rohn books. They're completely enjoyable. But this is, from what I understand, like grown-up Paulini. I've heard good things about it. So I'm excited to read that. Okay. I only talked about books for 15 minutes. That's not bad. It could have been so much longer. I could have a whole book tube talking about books. But I know that's not what you're here for. So keep it brief. Keep it brief, Laura. I did read or listened to Artemis. Oh gosh, I can't remember the author's name. He wrote The Martian. Andy Weir, that's it. And that also would have been in my enjoyable sci-fi. It's just an adventure on the moon. It's an adventure on the moon. There's nothing complicated again about it, but it was written in such a way that it was really enjoyable. Sassy. Anyways, so that is Sci-Fi July. Thanks for sticking with me, my friends. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you're getting in some stitching in between getting some vitamin D. It is beautiful weather here in the Pacific Northwest. We've had a bit of a break from our heat wave that we were having, and that's been lovely. But it's sunny and gorgeous. I just want to be outside adventuring. Hopefully that will come sooner than later. I hope you're well, and I'll be back at you. I'm gonna do all things going to plan. We'll have a Quilting Bee episode next week, end of the week, and then around the start of August we'll catch up on Christmas in July, and then talk about what I'll be stitching for August. Yeah, so that's the plans. It's gonna be great. I hope you're reading a good book. I hope you're happy. I hope all good things. Totally rambling. We're gonna end this. See you later, my friends. Happy stitching!